Hi, everybody. I am sitting here shell-shocked, absolutely shell-shocked. And regular intrepid viewers will know it takes quite a bit to shock this old bag, right? And that's because 2 nights ago, midnight Australian time, Lev Parnas's lawyer dropped the 90-minute video of the President of the United States talking about the Ambassador Yovanovitch, saying, get rid of her, take her out. I don't care. Right. It was his Fifth Avenue moment. I could kill someone and no one would do anything. And he was right. I leapt up in the morning and it was like the fourth news item or something. That's how far down the tubes things have got. It's staggering, you know. And then I got thinking about the sham trial and everything that represents. And I got really hostile. I've got to get it out of my system so then I can rise above it and be an inspiration for higher thoughts. But in the meantime, I am such a cranky auntie. And what really got up my nose recently, in the last weeks as it's unfolded, is America is waiting. The world is waiting with bated breath, hoping that 4 Republicans could be found to vote for witnesses and evidence. Right? Talk about settling for crumbs. And who have we got? We've got Mitt Romney, who's probably a nice guy, except if you're growing up gay in Utah. You've got Susan Collins clutching her pearls going, I might vote for witnesses and evidence, meaning she might not. And it's the same for all of them. If there was real courage, they would have come forward and said, I am going to vote for evidence and witnesses, and I really hope the majority of my Republican colleagues will also honour their oath and do the right thing by the country. If they'd done that, they would have the moral high ground and let the rest catch up. But no, there's this snivelling and cowering, and we're meant to think they're so brave. No. Courage was like those women in New York in the 40s in the garment factories who risked everything to go on strike, knowing they could lose their jobs and they had 4 kids to feed. That's courage. Courage was registering black voters in the South in the 60s, Courage is Erin Brockovich standing up to the giant chemical companies, Courage is flying planes over wildfires in another country to help people out. That's courage. So don't talk to me about these people being brave. They are pathetic and shame upon their eternal souls. Not a curse, just a comment. But I'm really over it. I am so over it, So today, I thought I'm actually too embedded in it and too agitated to even read on what will happen with this recording. But the good thing is there's obviously more. I would say hundreds of hours more. Lev and Igor have been recording Giuliani and Trump since 2015, and there'd be some jewels there. So what I thought I'd read on, staying with the theme of awful people, I'll see what's happening to Weinstein. And by the way, viewers, I can assure you I have now caught up on all the key speeches by Adam Schiff. What a divine human being. How amazing is Schiff. I also love that comment by Nadler when he said the Constitution is not a suicide pact. I love that. Very dignified. I think all the Dems acquitted themselves really well. And the contrast for their reptilian counterparts will be very marked. I was also informed by a viewer during the 3 days that the Dems were talking, if you went to the demonic Fox Entertainment channel, they had the speaker on but muted, and they gave their jaundiced, twisted commentary over the top. I mean, really? Okay. You've had your spray now, Lena. Concentrate. So I'll let the venom just go into the Weinstein story because really. Now, I have to lift myself here. Get it out. Okay. I'm using the Toth cards because some people deserve it more than others. Oh, they don't like being talked about, these cards. So here we go, it's the Toth deck. Weinstein, can money buy him out of this? I think is the only question, really. He's patently guilty. Will he get away with it? Let's have a look. Now, because I dropped cards, some might be upside down, so I'm not going to read them as reversals. I'm doing a 4-carder for him with some clarifiers. Look. On top, rather mystically, here we have the 9 of Wands. This is difficulties aplenty coming in here, but in the Toth it's called strength. So if you look at the pattern of the wands, it's a very strong pattern. So lots of difficulties, but at this point, he's just above the fray. Now, I'm not getting Pentacles cards about the money, so this is speaking straight to power. He then gets the 10 of Wands. This is him as the martyr. Poor me, all these nasty women, you know. He doesn't get it. To this day, he does not get it. There's no remorse except for himself. It's funny with these men, isn't it? It's the pattern of bullies. They're actually feeble, ill-equipped children, you know. So the guys that get to the top of these companies are often full-blown sociopaths. Some more narcissistic than others, but they're all sociopaths, it seems to me. And definitely him. Justice, we may see justice in this case, and the universe, which is interesting, it's the card for the world. So on the one level, yes, this is an international case. Everyone is watching Weinstein's case. But it's the universe in the Toth deck, and that's bigger again, because this is talking to his karmic legacy. Now, you wouldn't want to be in Weinstein's sand shoes, would you, when the time comes for the karmic debt collector to come knocking on the door? So let's see what my little gorgeous cards have to add to that story. So he is going to go down, but, and it's a big but, because if he ends up doing time in a medical facility or something, now he's suddenly and mysteriously crippled, it's not the same, is it? You notice none of these guys go to mainstream jails. I'd rather they had lesser sentences and went to mainstream jails than longer in these, you know, facilities with Wi-Fi and 24-hour access to all sorts of things that normal prisoners don't get. Regular viewers will know that old Irish saying, dead men don't hang. Oh no, it's not dead men don't hang, it's rich men don't hang. Right? The rich always seem to get away with it, which is why I find this karmic legacy fascinating. Okay, what can we add to this about the Weinstein trial? Military approach, woman in service, oh, the thief. Curious. So this is the mercenary character. Well, he certainly was, you know, there's no doubt about that. Donna Di Silvio, with my bad Italian, the servant woman or the domestic servant, i.e. any woman in his groping radius. Anyone, not a single woman, any woman. Over his karmic legacy, we have the thief. He stole the trust of these women. You know, he made it so that they could not work without having to sexually comply with his monstrous appetite. So he stole from them. He stole from them. Well, I don't want to spend any longer on Weinstein. To sum that up, my feel is he will be convicted. He'll be given some sort of notional significant sentence, and then the Rich Men Don't Hang Brigade will come in and, you know, round off the edges. That's what I think about him. Now, I also want to look here at Saudi Arabia and the Kushner connection, because apparently there was a transfer of nuclear technologies from the US to Saudi just days after the Khashoggi killing. Coincidence? Kushner is up to his manicured eyebrows in so much stuff in Israel and in Saudi Arabia particularly. I should do a little mini read on Kushner. He might turn up in this, we'll see. Okay, so this is about the nuclear technologies after the Khashoggi killing. What happened there? What happened there? What was that about? These are so huge, these cards. They're very hard to shuffle. Okay. Yes, well, couldn't agree more, cards. Look, these guys, I'm not the only reader to say this. These guys are so venal. They're so low. They have such a primitive mindset. It's only about money. There's never any higher thoughts. Anyway, we'll go on. Completion. The Four of Wands. It's completion in the Thoth deck. Completion of one cycle. In the more traditional decks, it's a card of celebration and building the house, and it's called the House of Saud. Isn't that interesting? But it might be doing a karmic turn of the wheel, because MBS, Kushner's best friend, he's doing things at such an accelerated rate, and because he's a young prince, it's taking the form of all this hacking and all this other more modern stuff. His father and grandfather were literally of other generations, so their power manipulations took a different form. His is very accelerated because he's only whatever he is, 35 or something. Don't forget, this man, MBS, arrested hundreds of his own henchmen and relatives and managed to convert the Crown Plaza in Riyadh into a torture chamber. Nice. This is who Kushner seeks out. Okay, then the Seven of Cups, debauchery. It is absolute hypocrisy and debauchery. It's an obscenity of power and wealth. It's obscene. It's dripping off them. I'm pleased to report they're a bit worried. The worry card. I'm pleased they've got some sort of emotion. It'd only be about covering themselves, of course. But there we have it. They've still got a pact with Kushner. There's still more miles to go, while he is the royal son-in-law. Okay. what's in it for everybody? Well, that'd be gain. That's what drives them. That's the only thing that drives them. This is such a base feel. So let me do some more on Kushner himself, because he's so out of his depth. When Trump first got in illegally, having not won the popular vote, thanks Electoral College, thanks Russia, thanks for the people who didn't vote. All those things conspired to give the world Trump. Okay. It's not just one thing. Okay, but when people in the transition teams were trying to get them up to speed with the best will in the world, they were just trying to explain how the world worked, and they identified Kushner as the weak link on day one. And the FBI and the CIA had big sit-down conflabs with him saying, people will come to you, they'll be using you, be very careful who you talk to, be very careful who you deal with. Huh. Deaf ears. Deaf ears. So how is the slumlord of New Jersey coping? What's happening for Jared? I'm just putting him on top of this reading. Ooh, goody. Yep, well, he was told and he didn't listen. Okay, now, here we have the Six of Swords, which is trying to get away to a better place. So here you have it. With this card, he's realised a bit too late, because he too is very naive. None of the Trumps had any idea about the most basic political dimensions of the world. None. Zero, zilch, minus, no idea. And I think he was so carried away with being the Dark Prince here that now he wants to get away. But it's too late. He's realised too late. He took the loans from them, lots of loans from them, and now he owes them big time. And the swords are all pointing in. He gets the Nine of Swords. This is the cruelty card. Now, he looks soft enough. He doesn't look like he beats his children. It's not that sort of cruelty. It's an indifference to people at large that is the cruelty. And it's not exclusive to Jared Kushner. This is the problem with so many of those in this theatre that we are watching unfold. It used to be, in the old days, giving away my age here, if families were phenomenally wealthy intergenerationally, they actually did big infrastructure things. They actually funded scholarships, they funded museums, they funded art galleries, they actually, libraries, they actually used small enough proportions of their overall wealth, but they used it for the common good. This indifference to me is cruelty. But just in time, not soon enough, you might say, and I would have to agree, the Hierophant arrives. Law and order, government coming down on his tin pot world. His gold will turn to brass. All right. So I have that to say. I also have something else to say, viewers, and that is, in my last 48 hours of grizzling and outrage, I was thinking about the role everyone has to play in this next 1 to 5 years, because it is a global phenomenon. It is bigger than America. It's only now 2 weeks till the UK does Brexit, which is phenomenally stupid in the extreme. Expect to see the Yeti meet up with Boris Johnson, Yeti 2, and they'll shake hands and they'll shake their manes and announce colossal, unprecedented trade deals. You watch, because they both desperately need a trade win. And I'm sorry, but the reality is neither country is the other's biggest trading partner. It just doesn't work. But expect to see that. Brexit is the 31st of January. But what I want to say about staying engaged over the next 4 years, who would have thought we'd survive these 3 years? So you can do it. You can do it. But you must rest. You must regroup. You've got to connect with like-minded people. It is so important. And everyone has to find their little thing they can do to be part of the resistance. And I was reminded of a quote, and I jumped around the net looking for it yesterday, and it's by Martin Meyer, and I'll put it up as a pinned comment or something. And it basically goes along the lines, when they came for the socialists, I didn't say anything because I wasn't a socialist. When they came for the trade unions, I didn't say anything because I wasn't a unionist. When they came for the Jews, I didn't say anything because I wasn't a Jew. And when they came for me, there was no one to speak for me. Now, this is a time we all have to step up. So it's really, 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 really important to pace yourself so you've got your energy for the resistance. And if you meet and gather regularly, even online, with like-minded people, it'll help keep you sane. It'll help you negotiate your day-to-day, and you can have a vent when you need to, which is so important in the gaslighting. It's really important to talk to sane people, and you can talk in shorthand and they know what you mean. But the biggest thing is to remember, this is actually the majority. The awful behaviour by these sellout Republicans and stuff, they're actually not the majority of Americans, and it's the same in Australia. The majority of people are decent, and we're represented by this tiny minority of right-wing hawks who will grind us all into the dust if we let them. It's really important to meditate. 5 minutes a day is better than nothing. Get a higher vision. I'm talking to myself at the same time here, as you can tell from this video, viewers. It's really important. I had to take time out before this. And just visualize a much more positive outcome. It can be done. Going back to normal isn't it. Going back to normal is not going to help anyone in the gig economy. It's not going to help healthcare. It's not going to help the environment. Going back to normal is not acceptable. It has to go further, and that's exciting. Please don't be scared by it. Please don't be frightened by it. The times are all coming together astrologically. I'm watching more and more astrologers because it helps understand the dynamics of what's going on now. And the world is experiencing this really tight, ugly transition into a much better way of thinking about our commitment to each other, to the planet, to our everyday lives. And it is on the other side of this bottleneck. But in order for that to happen in 4 years' time, we've got to start working on it now. Okay? So please do your best. Please keep the comments coming in. I live for the comments. I'm so privileged to have you guys as viewers. So a heartfelt thanks. All the best now. So don't despair. Recover. Have light times too. Have the odd party. Go out dancing. Let your hair down. You know, don't just get stuck in your little mini world. There's a big wide world out there, and we've got to make it better. So big love. Big love, love, love. Let there be love. Okay. Bye for now.